I do, I do, I do, I do. I do, I do, I do.
I'm Jill Andrews, and I'm so humbled to be here. This is absolutely the most amazing thing I think I've ever done in my life, besides my contribution to the Ebola thing. So I bet you guys are all wondering, what do wedding gowns and Ebola suits have in common? Any ideas? Well, they take a long time to put on, and they have to come off really fast, completely. So it was fall of 2015, and I was making a gown for a friend of mine who's a Liberian journalist, and she was going to the African Summit. And when she was getting ready to go to the African Summit, she was supposed to be interviewing Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf could not come because of the Ebola crisis. Fast forward like 2 weeks, and a friend of mine sent me an email. She worked for the school at Public Health, and she sent me an email. She said, in your copious spare time. And I opened it up, and it said, Ebola Challenge. You can help save lives. And it said looking for public health workers, biomedical engineers, nurses, chemical engineers, and it said outerwear and textile specialists. So I said, this is my in. So this is I'm going for it. 3 days later, I'm working in the lab with Hopkins students and nurses and Doctors Without Borders, and it was just absolutely amazing. We were assessing the needs of healthcare workers to give them a better quality of life and protect them. People were dying. The beginning of our education started off with 2 nurses that actually wrote the JPIGO step-by-step instructions for removing the PPEs, which is personal protective equipment. So as you can see, there are 19 steps on this one. Some have 30. And they're generally 11 pieces of the garment. So it takes a while to get in. The harder part, rather than just getting in, is getting out. So while we were watching the nurse in her PPE, you couldn't see her face. The Tyvek suit came to here. She had a mask on underneath, a mask over. She had goggles. She had a face shield. All you could see was steam in the goggles. And you just transport yourself into a tropical situation, and how can anybody function in that? So she was in an air-conditioned room, which was nice and cool and comfortable, and they started the process of taking her out of the garment. And it takes 15 to 20 minutes to get them out of the garment. And think about being exhausted, emotionally exhausted, physically exhausted, dehydrated, and claustrophobic. Like, what else can you be in this suit? And it takes 15 minutes of care to get out, and somebody has to help you. So problems needs to be addressed. So the first thing that she does is she takes her hand and brings it up to her face to remove the shield. This is after her first layer of gloves off, but she's still completely covered with, imagine what her hands are in, every kind of waste you can imagine. And so she removes the goggles, and you're just dumbfounded. And then she goes under her chin and unzips. And that's when I started saying, oh, no. This has got to change. This is just, there's so many things that you just start to see. And they needed a specialized suit. I was stressing out just looking at her. The other problem with the suits was that somebody has to assist you out. So that person has to be completely suited up too. So who's the last person over the fence? This is day 2, where we start talking about how we're going to change the suit. Zippers instantly into the back, seams in the front up here are gone. Hood's going to go away. When we walked in that morning, there was a table that was just full of like extra Tyvek suits. It had every kind of sewing thing that you could possibly want. It had glue, Velcro, magnets, magnetic tape, duct tape, everything was like, oh, and then there was chocolate sauce, slime, and glitter. It was like a whole entire craft store just like exploded in the studio. And the glitter is so perfect because it's the Ebola of the craft world. Oh. So I set up this little tiny machine, little home sew machine, slid around on the table, weighs like 8 pounds, if that. And we started to cut the suits up and started to repurpose, just open them up and use them as fabric and started to repurpose different parts using what was already existing so that we could keep cost down and speed production. So we wanted to work within parameters that they already had. This is the difference between the two suits. So we went from a 20-minute process down to about less than 5 minutes. We can learn technique, but the true gift is like the creativity of it all. We all go into professions for different reasons, like money, status, or securities. But some people have a vocation that turns a career into a calling, whether the calling involves perfecting your craft or saving lives or changing the world. All that matters is living up to the standard of excellence dictated by generations of innovators before us. Core principles never change. Core principles never change, and my theory is if you can build a bra, you can build a bridge. So, this is what happens when you teach scientists to sew. The first time I walked into Hopkins, I was really, really nervous. And all of a sudden I realized that, man, are people going to actually worry about, are they going to judge me because I'm a wedding dress designer? Or is that going to label me? Is that going to keep me in a particular spot? I have preconceived notions about doctors, but what I learned after that experience was how amazingly open-minded doctors and scientists have to be to take risks that innovate cures and help save lives. Hi, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. Isn't that what Lewis Carroll said? Hi, I'm Jill Andrews, SwitchPoint 17, the wedding gown hazmat suit designer. And I'm here to tell you about my pandemic experience. 2 friends of mine approached me on March 19th of 2020 and said, hey man, we need to make some face masks. The looming pandemic was really becoming a reality, and we set out to start a company. And in 5 days we had done research, prototype product, and had built a website to make face masks. We were ready to sell double-layer organic cotton sateen face masks with adjustable twill tape ties. Words with Boards and Imperium Shaving are 2 small companies like mine that are reliant on the wedding industry. We were like so many other little companies all over the country trying to react and help and survive. We knew we weren't going to find any solutions, so we really had to create our own. And as someone who often thinks about that hospital gown problem, the challenge of a better face mask piqued my interest. We were also staring down a supply chain collapse, so the design had to be easy and scalable and thoughtful. Having access to laser cutters at Words with Boards completely influenced the complexity of the design. The masks could be a little bit more complicated to improve the fit. We also knew that elastic was going to be in short supply, and also people had allergies to latex, and cotton was soon going to be flying off the shelves. And those metal nose pieces, who knows where you even get those. So I reached out to an organic cotton sheet manufacturer and a local twill tape supply company.
and our supply chain seemed to be really secure until white thread and sewing machine needles sold out all across the country. Then the next problem was we could cut 1,000 a day, but I could only sew 100. Maybe with my stitcher, we could do 200. So thank you, SwitchPoint, for introducing me to the incomparable Deirdre White of Pixera Global. I wound up going with her to India in 2019 to look at the amazing and wonderful things that Jaipur Rugs has done to change the world for weavers in India. I realized later that N.K. Chowdhury had influenced how we employed stitchers. At one point, we had people receiving pre-cut masks, twill tapes, thread, and anything else they needed in a bag. Contactless pickup and delivery would happen every 3 days. We had 43 stitchers sewing from the safety and comfort of their own home that were able to supply masks to essential workers and have some money. Everything was used, even the ones that were less than perfect. We donated thousands of masks, sold the perfect ones on our website, and even used the scraps to make dog beds for the SPCA. I'm looking forward to getting back into the wedding world of smiling faces and the delicate engineering of a wedding gown bustle. But I'm also remembering how cool it was to stay home, make bread, and crochet. Thank you.